Okay, hello, good evening everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me and or see me. This is the sixth of hopefully many episodes of Bard Advice, a D&D themed advice podcast. So, I'm running on new settings. I'm also running in a new browser, seeing how that goes. Hi River, hi everyone, Avram, Pirate Archaeologist, Cameron, Nate. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. So, I was actually kind of rushing there at the last minute to get some things together, and they weren't notes. Those weren't the things I was getting together, so we're just going to have to kind of fly by the seat of our pants. Just pretend it's like the DM didn't plan anything for this session. So we're just kind of going to do our best. Did I save the names? I have the names of the people who asked the questions. I've got it together. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I hope everybody's doing all right and hanging out during the holidays. The holidays are crazy, as you can tell. I'm all over the place mentally. My wife and I did some shopping today, some errands in general, and it is just crazy town out there. So just want to remind everybody to send questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. I just got a bunch from people over the last week. So hopefully that pushing you to do it is working. Please send them. Not that I'm running short, but I can always use more. So send any questions to bardadvice@gmail.com, and I will do my best to get to them promptly. Also, speaking of the holiday, just another reminder, another merch plug, manshorts.com. You can get yourself some cool shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, phone cases, and shorts. We finally do have shorts, so they're comfy, actually. I really like them. So go to manshorts.com and get that stuff. For this week's Art Corner, thank you, Nebraska, because, man, that name is, I feel like that would be an awesome band name. But thank you for gifting the memberships out. That's really cool. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Is it necessary for the question to be relevant? No, not necessarily. I mean, if it's funny or cool. I've got one that I'm doing next week that is going to be real crazy town. Anyway, so for this week's Art Corner, I actually wanted to highlight a local artist who's this guy that lives locally in Jacksonville. His name is Mickey, and the name of his company is the Polyhedral Knights. They produce an RPG called Wicked Pax, a modern-day game of Magic. We've played it before, actually, on this channel as a one-shot, and I've linked that in the description video. So check that out because it's really cool. And I've got a little blurb here because I asked him. It looks like they have developed more to the Wicked Pax game as to the options available. So they've added types of education with linked perks, forbidden spells, and spells of corruption. It looks like characters will also be a little more defined. They also have produced a 7-part audio drama called Wicked Pax Sacrifice in the Boardroom. That's available on multiple platforms. I've linked to Spotify in the description. And they also recently completed their latest game, Pirates of the Shattered World. It's a techno fantasy that is actually a post-apocalyptic world that rebuilt itself in a medieval state. So that stuff's really cool. I've linked their website, the Polyhedral Knights website, in the description, and as well as the first episode of that audio drama podcast. So go check that out. And I've also linked the one shot too. If you've not seen that, go check it out. That was really fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. That was not the train one shot. The train one shot, I think there were technically 2 train shots because the beginning of the Western one shot was started on a train. But I think the one you're thinking of, Avram, is the Cthulhu one. And I can't for the life of me think of what that one's called. We've been in Swayed Weird West game for a bit. First time joiner. Hey, Dave. You make everyone at work listen to my raps. Thanks. I make everyone at work listen to my raps. Just took my wife on a date to Darby's Dungeon and had a blast. Oh, cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Darby's good people. I need to get over there again. Need to figure that out. So yeah, that's Art Corner. Let's get into some questions because I do have some fun ones this week. I'd like to think so. So the first one this week, and let me just get my little list of names up here, is going to be from Spencer. And Spencer asks, what are your thoughts on character stat generation, standard array, 3d6, point buy, or is there something else that you prefer? So for me, I have always done point buy, but that's just because that's kind of what I've always done, if that makes sense. So it's not that I have anything against standard array or 3d6 or something else, another option. But I've always done point buy. So in my experience, it's like, I think we've always done like, I want to say we've done like base 8 plus, it's like base 8, 24 points. And you just go, nothing over 20. So it kind of, sets it out so you can really realistically have like a 20 and 18, a 14, dump something. I mean, usually dump something anyway, right? But yeah, I've not had many characters where I've rolled for my abilities or my health. Somebody asked about that too recently. I don't know if that was on like TikTok or if that was an email that I got, but somebody asked about what do I feel about health? Maybe it was a TikTok I saw. Anyway, I've always done max health. It's just like, it feels like, I don't know. What purpose does the rule serve, really, other than just like making you feel good, I guess, that you're following the mechanics? I don't know that it does anything to keep anything more fair. I guess it's more random. I don't know. I think it's a preference. I think it depends on the table. Have you ever thrown away dice because they're forever cursed? Oh no, I disconnected. I don't know if my joke came through. I said that the recidivism rate of dice is pretty high. Yeah, because like if you have a bad dice and it doesn't do what it's supposed to, that's really annoying. And then you try to use it again and then it just keeps happening. I don't know. Can't throw dice away. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a little blasphemous. I don't know. Depends on the dice. Depends on the reasoning behind throwing them away. River says, I'll generally allow my players to re-roll ones for their stat rolls, but because you want them strong, 46 and drop the lowest. Yeah, that seems fair. I guess when you consider like any kind of additions that you get from any racial or class abilities or stats. First time tuning in. Hey, Matt, how are you? Thanks for joining. So, yeah, I would say, Spencer, it's really just a matter of preference. It looks like most people are into the idea of rolling 46 and dropping the lowest. Or at least rolling in general 3d6 and just keeping it. I like the idea of dropping the lowest because it feels like you do have a little control in the randomness. And I will say I guess I have created characters that way, where you roll 46 and drop the lowest. But most of my experience in playing and DMing has been in just doing point buy, just for ease of customization. Most of the encounters are hard to deadly difficult, so you want them strong. Yeah, hell yeah. Make it scary. Scare the crap out of them early on. Establish dominance early game. Does it help the channel much to let videos run all night with all the ads? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, theoretically, right? I mean, I would never want you to do that or ask you to do that. I seem to be continuing to have issues. This is no bueno. I don't know what the problem is, but we're going to just push through it and try to get through. It's bizarre because I did several tests throughout the week with these settings and everything seemed to be fine. So the only thing that's different is the browser. So what I'm going to ultimately end up doing here probably, gang, is I'm just going to, if this continues to be okay, then I'm going to just finish the stream on here. And then I'll just clip the videos together so that I can re-release it as one full episode. But yikes, we didn't even get to the question. Well, I mean, we did get through one. Yeah, we lost a lot of people, but it looks like some people have moved over, so hopefully they'll come back in. I'm still here. We're going to try and keep going. Sheesh. Sorry, everybody. thanks for coming back over, I guess. I don't blame you if you dropped off and aren't back. Of course, I guess you wouldn't be here to hear that. So let's push on, see if we can keep going. We've got a second question here. Thank goodness we have a question to move on to. The second question is from Michaela. She asks, where do I begin as a complete noob? I have a group of 6, all noobs who want to start a D&D campaign. I'd love to be the DM. Where do I even begin to learn everything? I'm having trouble finding a group that is experienced. I've been looking for ages before I decided to start my own. So I would say I've put a couple of links in the description to several videos that I think you will find helpful. It looks like the first one I've got there is from Jenny. She's great. She makes lots of great D&D content. If you've not seen her stuff, Jenny D. She's got a good first-time player tips video. Also, from WASD20 and Sherlock Holmes, they both have a how to play D&D videos. And then also from WASD20 they have a first time DM video, and this Don't Stop Thinking YouTube channel I found has a pretty good how to DM video. So that's where I would start, at least from like a content consumption standpoint. As for like what to watch or who to listen to, as for my personal tips, get the PHB. If there's a friendly local gaming store in your area, go to it. I always go, that's always the go-to for anything that's related to that, I think, because people will help you out for sure if you have a local gaming store. And even if you don't have that, I'm sure that online you can find like Reddits. I'm sure that there's like Reddit threads or groups online that offer guidance, as it were, as to like being like a complete and total noob to the game. I would say just reading the PHB, if you have the opportunity to do so, is a good place to start. And I guess the DMG, obviously, I mean, if you're going to be the DM, but yeah, it's exciting to hear that you're wanting to join the fray. It can be intimidating to play in general, and even more so to DM. So it's cool to hear that that's what you want to do. Heads up, you might end up being the forever DM with that kind of boldness as to wanting to step into the role. But I mean, if you're up for it, I think that you have a bright future ahead of you. I would say start with those videos. Those can at least like point you in the direction as to like how you play and like what the basic mechanics are and how everything works, etc. If you can, get yourself to a physical, friendly local gaming store, board game store in the area. I'm sure that nerds there would be happy to provide some guidance, or online. Search out any kind of groups that would be, there's probably groups that are like dedicated specifically to that. Like helping people that are new get into the game. So hopefully that answers your question. I've got some of the links there in the description, so you can hit those up and check those out. Sorry, everybody, for all of these technical errors. I think that things have seemed to have been fixed, at least for the moment. So we're just gonna push on. I think there was an error with my frames per second setting, rather. I'm such like an old man when it comes to technology. Not because I didn't grow up around it, just because I never really paid attention to how any of it works. So, well, thank you, Michaela. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing chat. Okay, now I can see chat. Gee whiz. All right, so let me just drop this way down so it's not eating up data. All righty. Sorry, everybody. Look at your local library. Yeah, that's a good idea, too. You probably have a library. That's for sure. Fine on your two. Fine into greetings and good evening. Hey, old geezer gamer. I like that name too. That's good stuff. Well, we seem to be streaming okay now, so. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Gee whiz. I appreciate your patience, team, people. This one is from John. And John asks, since you write stories in so many different worlds, do you have any tips for writing stories, mechanics for the non-standard D&D fantasy? Well, I think that first would depend on what you mean by non-standard. Do you mean like an RPG that is more set modern, set Western, space, fantasy, future? Or I'm not totally sure what you mean, but I would say that my advice for writing in general is take breaks. One of the things I've found about writing is that like a lot of the best stuff comes to you when you're not trying to get it. So like I write a lot of my bars in the car, and I have a lot of ideas for episodes just like walking around. So it's very rare that anything comes out. It's very rare that something comes out for the first time while I'm sitting down in front of paper or, Google Docs or Celtics or whatever you're writing with. Most of it is just conceptualized beforehand, and then sitting down is just really a matter of execution. So I would say that my tips would be to give yourself breaks, both physically, like step away from the machine, and also like mentally and emotionally give yourself a break. And I think if you do those things, then it'll come to you, and you can just kind of collect it. That's what I've found in pretty much anything I create, not just writing, but like anything. It's because we're all the same stuff, right? The universe. So we're all the same. We're all the same thing. So I think it's just a matter of like waiting for it to come along. And usually it comes along when you're just kind of like chilling and not looking for it. Ain't that the case? They say that about love and all kinds of great things. That's my best advice. Take breaks and give yourself breaks. And also, like, in terms of non-standard D&D, to be more specific about that, like, I think what you mean is other types of systems. I would say read any kind of, or I would say consume any type of media surrounding that theme. Like, so for example, if you're writing like a Spelljammer campaign, like consume some cool space shit. Watch Firefly. Watch Battlestar Galactica. I'm sure that there's tons of others. Lots of really cool stuff that you could watch and or read. That at the very minimum is fodder, is food for thought. Can't take the sky from me. That's right. That's true. They can't. The Expanse series. Yeah, I've heard about that. I wondered. Kirk had a suggestion. Have your DM character draw a blank for what to play 1 week and have him in desperation pull out the very first dungeon he ever designed. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Stuff you did in the bathroom and in my car and all my stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been a little popping on TikTok lately. I've been having fun over there. If anybody doesn't follow me on TikTok, I do try to repost my stuff on Instagram and on my YouTube channel, my Yazzik channel. I added my link tree in the description, so you can click on that, and that links to all of my stuff, like my music, the podcast. We are already here, but you know what I mean. The Man Shorts channel in general, my Instagram. There's lots of bars there lately. Been Bard's been delivering bars. Try not to be a sucker in a world full of lollipops. Yeah, I feel that. Babylon 5 has an episode for every trope ever. Oh, yeah, dude. Babylon 5 is a good one. That's assuming you're doing Spelljammer. You know, apply these rules to whatever you're doing. If you're playing a Western, go watch Tombstone. Go watch Young Guns. You know, read a Louis L'Amour book. That'll give you some stuff. I would say lean into the fandom and the content of whatever the theme is. And if it's something non-D&D related, like a book, same thing. I would lean into that genre. Take inspiration from other artists. That's what most of us want to do anyway, is inspire others to do it. So take that. Now you need to watch Tombstone again. Yeah. Dude, you know what was surprisingly good was 1883. I was like really blown away at how well made that was for being an MTV property. And also for starring Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Now it also, and they did a pretty great job, I think. And also Sam Elliott, who looks the same as he did in 1994. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I thought 1883 was good. Yeah, and then there's another one in a few days. Yeah, the 1923 or whatever with Harrison Ford, who also looks like, what is going on with these people? It's like they don't age. Resurrect Stargate 1 only with Space Force. Yeah. So hopefully that answers the question, John. Let's move on. We've got one here from Adam, and I'm kind of excited about this one because I did put together, let's take a look here. So this is from Adam. And Adam asks, I play 3.5, best one, and my girlfriend got me into DMing and showed me that anything, spelled it wrong, can be used as props and buildings. We stopped playing for a few months now, but I keep buying stuff for D&D, and it's making me run out of room in my place. Do you think I have a problem with seeing random things and converting them into props? And he's attached some pictures here of what he's talking about, what we've got going on. So it's funny that you bring this up because I was recently talking to my wife about this. In fact, I bring it up anytime we're in the pet store because the aquarium stuff is just like begging to be turned into D&D stuff. And I don't know if like the companies that manufacture those things know that like people are using them that way, but they should be put on notice. Because, I mean, like, look at this stuff. Dude, if I came in to play and the table looked like that, I would be hype. So here's the thing, though, Adam. Your question was, do you think I have a problem with seeing random things and converting them into props? No, I don't think you have a problem doing that. I mean, clearly you're very adept at it. I don't think that's the problem. What I would say is that when anybody asks, is it a problem? What you would revert to probably would be, is it something that's interfering with your daily life? And in the question, you included that it is causing you to run out of room in your place. Beyond that, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with it. I think it's smart, actually, because some of the stuff is cheaper. A lot of the stuff is probably, on the whole, cheaper to do it that way than to just than to go to the store. Because, you know, even if you get stuff at the FLGS, it's like you probably got to paint it. And it's just like, you know, I've seen some of those like castle pieces, dude, for aquariums. Some of them are sick. And like with minimal effort, you could turn them into something really cool, as you see. So I don't think that you have, Belle says, time to get a bigger house. Yeah, maybe that's the answer. Just move. Storage space, time to rent a unit. There you go. I love, oh my gosh, this is just like the most D&D chat ever. Like, leave it to all of the D&D players to be like, you're fine. It's enabling behavior. That's it. Rent a storage unit. Make this become a monthly charge. No, truly though, I think you're fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, if you're running out of space to the degree where it's like hoarders, stop it. Get some help. But I don't think that's the case. I think you just like see these cool things and you get them, and I don't blame you because I see them myself and consider getting them. And I probably would if my wife allowed it, but that's why I couldn't get into Warhammer. I think I've talked about that before. Dude, I didn't know about Warhammer. Somebody explained to me about it and I was like, oh, stop. I don't want to hear anymore. Like, as soon as I found out that you get to like be a whole like species of people, that's just like waiting to burn a hole in my pocket, and I already have problems with that. Every time you make your own minis or encounter maps, you think of Lester Freeman making the dollhouse furniture. Lester Freeman making the dollhouse furniture. One moment. Oh, yeah. The Wire guy. Right? Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time. 40K minifigures would definitely bankrupt you. Yeah, 100%. That's why I don't mess with it. See, I don't think... Yeah, we did, Avram. Sorry. I don't know what the deal is. We're back. Yeah, I don't think you have a problem, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I think it's cool. All right. Let's move on to River. Sorry for the mini stroke there. I didn't mean to just like stop completely. I just had a little a meltdown there in my head. This is from River. Good old River. River asks, I tend to have a playlist of songs that I listen to whenever I'm doing something creative, be it writing, sketching, planning the next session or encounter for my party. What are some of your favorite tracks that help the creative juices, or that really should say that help get the creative juices flowing? So thanks for the question, River. You know what's crazy? And I want to start here with this answer. In order to answer this, I have to tell a story. So when I was 21, when I was 20, I worked as a marketing executive for a tax firm. And one of the guys that was the owners, we asked one day what kind of music he listened to, and he was like, I don't listen to music. And my head almost exploded because I've always been a musician since I was a kid. I've always had a great love for music and appreciation for it. And at the time, I like couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. And keep in mind, this was like 2008. So, for reference as to like technology. But we were like, what? I was like, okay, well, what's in your car right now? Like, what's on like your CD or what's on your iPhone or whatever? And he was like, a book about finance. And I just thought it was the craziest thing. But now that I'm 35, I don't listen to a lot. And it's not to say that I don't ever listen to music. It's just not my go-to. Podcasts are my go-to. As to like, I think podcasts are like perfect for in the background. They're enjoyable to like actively consume as well as passively if you're working on stuff. Just like people talking, especially if they're like familiar voices and it's like nice timbres and tones that you're familiar with. Like more than anything, I have podcasts on in the back. However, I do listen to music, and so I actually made some notes of what is on my playlist because he asked about that. So I actually went and looked and found like these are so I just pulled these artists directly from my YouTube playlist. So we have Eminem, Eric B. and Rakim, Tribe Called Quest, Tupac, KRS-One, The Wu-Tang Clan. Lots of early hip hop stuff I listen to. Slaughterhouse. I do listen to lots of stuff. My playlist is actually pretty eclectic too, Sasho. I was actually going to mention that just now. Like, I also listen to like really poppy stuff, like Gaga and Kesha, and old school like Britney. And then I also like ska a lot. Oh yeah, Mobb Deep's great always. I'm sure Mobb Deep's somewhere on there. There's a bunch that I didn't name. Snoop. But yeah, I like a lot of ska too, man. Like Real Big Fish. Cheer Up is one of my favorite albums all time. Jack Johnson is always pleasant. Dax is good. Yeah, I've been listening to Dax lately too. Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody saw, but he reposted my verse, so that was cool. He did that Joker challenge on TikTok. I mean, I guess it's not like exclusive to TikTok, but it's on there. And so I did some bars on it and he reposted it. So that was cool. So he like knows that I exist. That's a cool thing. Okay. So I am going to move on to the next question. Jeez, we've been moving through questions, gang. So maybe we'll just be able to like chill for the end of the podcast because we've gotten through these ones pretty quickly. Oh, you know what? And I didn't even mention Toby. I feel really bad. He was the first one that I was going to mention, and he's the one I linked in the description. Toby Wigway. Dude, that guy, you want to talk about bars? That guy is something different. And he works with like everybody. He did a song with Coast Contra. He did a song with Royce da Five. He did a song with Duckworth. Like, what's that dude's name from... shoot, now I feel bad. What's that dude's name from... what's the name of that? Earth Gang. Earth Gang is those guys are crazy too. Olu, yeah, Olu has worked with him. Anything Toby Wigway does, I've linked his YouTube in the description. Check that guy out. Weird things to do D&D in D&D part jazz. Yeah. Started having dreams of your world and then made a campaign for them. That way I was able to stop dreaming about it so much. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, man, I need to be better about, that's an exercise I really need to like try and be disciplined about, is writing down my dreams, because man, I have some bangers, but then I never remember them. I always remember them like as soon as I wake up, right? Like from when I wake up, it's like, whoa. But then, you forget them so fast. And if you don't write them down, then you just don't know it. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Oh yeah, dude. Floyd is, yeah. And my dad loved Floyd. And he's part of the reason I have appreciation for Floyd, and not just Floyd, but like any of that old school, really classic, good shit, like Led Zeppelin. Those are all that I could think of right now. I like Yes a lot. Yes is fucking banging. The Eagles, you can keep the Eagles. Deep Purple, yeah. Yeah, Floyd is beast, dude. Anything Pink Floyd does is... They were, I think, really prolific. Yeah, Drunk Before Noon is on the docket. Probably not until after the holiday, because things are just so crazy right now. But yes, it's on the list. I've actually got a couple of scripts already together, so I just got to like... reformat it, or rather reformat the scripts so that we can get them going. Tangerine Dream. Viking music. Yeah, Viking music is cool. I like a lot of that. Like, I don't know, man, it's hard to say. I'm like a YouTube guy. I just stay there a lot, like in terms of consumption. So, like, all the podcasts I listen to are on YouTube. And then also, any music that I listen to, I just pull up there. And I don't even do the like YouTube music thing. I just do it on YouTube. It's just what I'm used to, I guess. If you had a band, you call it Strawberry Nightmare. That's a cool name. Huh. I do want to turn back to The Old Asleep by Dawn. Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper. Kansas. Blue Oyster Cult made me think of Kansas. And Looking Glass while we're at it. Shoot. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. All right, let's see. We got another question here. This one is from... Oh, man. Where'd my name on the list go? Oh, this is from Chris. From Chris. Yet again. Another Chris. We'll have to figure out a way to, like, denote which Chris it is. One of the Chris's. It's like a Huey, Dewey, Louie situation, except that it's all Chris. Anyways, Chris asks, sometimes during campaigns, I need to create surprise side quests. Often I will borrow, steal, from old 90s games. Is it better to tell players of sampling or keep up the illusion? I mean, they're not going to know, right? Let me ask you this. What do you think the benefit of you telling them is? I wouldn't say anything. I feel like the players like whatever I'm doing as the DM, here you go. Here's your answer. Write this down. Whatever you're doing as the DM, the players are on a need to know basis with that, which is basically like, if you need to know, you'll know. That kind of, I think, is part of like that veil between player and DM. It's almost like how, you know, they have like patient-doctor confidentiality, except that it's like DM confidentiality. Like, I don't think unless you feel like you want to, yeah, don't tell the players the truth, you'll lose your reputation as a miracle worker. Yeah, I don't think that there's a reason to let them know. Yeah, don't break the immersion. I mean, if somebody calls it out, you know, don't like lie, but I wouldn't bring it up unless they brought it up. I would just let it go. Because, I mean, if they don't know, what difference does it make for them? In fact, it might cheapen it if they know. Right? Kayfabe, brother. Oh, that's a podcast I listen to, by the way, Dudesy. Anybody should go listen to that who doesn't. That's a great podcast. But yeah. Keep it kayfabe. Keep the immersion up. It makes it fun. I don't know of a situation where you would need to tell them. They might not get the references either. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you did mention specifically, oh, hey, Chris, that guy in the desert. Thank you for joining. Let me pull the question up again. From old 90s games. Yeah, I mean, no, part of it is know your audience too, right? Like if you've got a lot of Zoomers, chances are good they don't know. They don't know any of that stuff. So like go for it. If you're playing with people that are like millennials, if you're playing people that are like in their 30s, then they may or may not pick up on them. But I mean, even if they do, I'll tell you this, if I was a player in that game and you were doing something that was like clearly from like Escape from LA. Oh, well, I guess you don't mean like references to media. I guess you mean like specific 90s games. Even still, like not a big chance that they're going to pick up on it. And even if they do, I wouldn't mention it. If I were in a game and somebody did something like that, I don't know if I would bring it up. And even if I did, it would be because I enjoyed it. Fun fact, I used to listen to Dark Side of the Moon on a Walkman all the time, even while watching TV. Then one day you met someone who watched The Wizard of Oz all the time. The rest is legend. Walkman. Yeah, I remember Walkmans. Yeah, the 90s. That was a crazy time. You know, my wife and I were talking about commercials in the 90s. Because we watched that Pepsi Where's My Jet thing. Did I already talk about that? Y'all should check that out. It's on Netflix, I think. About that commercial that Pepsi aired in the 90s where the kid comes to school in the Harrier jet. and then they put like the points that it would take to get the jet, but they didn't denote any like what do they call it? There were like no terms and conditions, no disclaimer. They just ran the ad, and so then this kid was like, "Oh, well then I want a jet." Anyway, it got me thinking about commercials in the 90s in general, and didn't they pass a law where like a lot of that stuff changed? Because commercials from my childhood were intense, dude. They were loud as fuck, and they were aggressive. And like they really like planted the seed of like, get your mom, pester your parents until they buy this shit. It was really crazy. And then I think they changed the law about advertising and how you could do that. So I feel like we've gotten off track. What was this question? Keep up the illusion. Yeah. I feel like this, this one's gone by fast, wouldn't you say? I think it's been moving by quick because the answers to these questions seem easier than I thought they would be. But that's fine. I don't have any problem just hanging out. Tell them the Death Knight is over there. He has 100 hit points and an AC of 19 and fails con saves and has 10 guards and 2 lieutenants. Point them in the right direction. No one would ever buy that many Pepsis. Yeah, I don't know if it's that. It's less that and more of just like they didn't think it would ever happen in general. I don't know that it's about I'm just that good. Yeah, maybe. Your first car had an 8-track. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for a while there in high school, I had an 8-track player that was my mom's. Listen to some dope shit on there. Oh, man. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't know why I didn't bring them up earlier. I should have. That's always a treat. Gladys Knight and the Pips. Any of that shit, dude. Any of that old school. The Bee Gees. Get out of here, man. This is not the first Bard advice. This is the 6th Bard advice, Modest Pelican, but welcome. I like your username. You just recently jumped to our deaths in a Warhammer TTRPG game. That was a fun TPK. Whoa. That's bizarre. What was that like? Did you know that you were jumping to your deaths? Sometimes that can happen if you get to like epic level and you're just like killing everything. You're like, oh, well, this has gotten boring. Why we should just like unalive. There's Sunday morning. The Carpenters. Oh, yeah, Karen Carpenter. She was a bad chick too, dude, on the drums. Bee Gees Before Disco. Didn't they make a Simpsons episode about the Pepsi thing? I mean, probably. Isn't The Simpsons like Rule 34 at this point? Like, it's just like, if it exists, The Simpsons have done it. Didn't Family Guy do an episode about that? Or was it South Park? I think it was South Park. Simpsons did it. Yeah, Simpsons done everything. How did you get the song from Maverick stuck in your head? Oh my God. The Mel Gibson movie? I was like, when I first read that, I thought you were talking about the Top Gun movie. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Why would he feel old for a song from a movie that just came out? But you're talking about Maverick, the movie from the 90s with Mel Gibson, the gambling riverboat movie. That's a thing you forgot existed until it was brought up, huh? My stepfather had a reel-to-reel player. You got to listen to lots of Elvis and a few others in his collection. Yeah, that's dope. Justin's mom has a bunch of fucking 45s. Or at least she did at one point. That shit is cool. Non-Newtonian slimes. The harder you hit them, the harder they become. You have to hit them softly. Whoa, that's a cool idea. That's a freebie, gang. That just, Michael just threw that out for everybody. That's a cool, I'd never thought of that. Did that in Skyrim, popped through a mountain and fell, the never-ending fall, and a rare dragon hit me, popped up inside a mountain. Could hit him and he couldn't hit you. Wow. Well, that's always a fun position to be in, right? Okay, so now we are getting down towards the end of the the questions. So this last one that we have on deck is from Carl. And Carl asks, do you have any tips or general advice for other creators who are starting their own channel? Make content is the shortest answer. I would say networking is really important, and it doesn't have to be very extensive. Hey, how's it going, Dat Pie guy? I'm chilling. Kill Bill song. Oh, the Twisted Nerve. The whistle song. Yeah, that was a dope idea, Michael, with the Non-Newtonian Slimes. That ish is killer. Like in Dune, the first movie. Yeah. Hey, John, how are you? So this one, Carl asking about the channel. So networking is important. You don't have to extensively network, I would say. But just like in general, reaching out to other creators that are in the same realm, because I always tell people, if asked, and there's a comedian that said this. There's a comedian named Eric Griffin. He's a funny guy, but he said this, and it really stuck with me, and I've repeated it because I believe in it. But it's like being on a treadmill at a very slight incline. I think that people look at like success or fame on the internet as like, it just happens or it doesn't. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, you make a video and it goes viral and then now you have a platform. And sometimes that's true. But way more often, it's just we've been making videos for a long time. We have hundreds of them now. And we've been making them weekly for over a year. It's a grind, but I think that there's not a whole lot of stock in it, but I think that there's a little bit to be said about the idea of if you build it, they will come. But that's not to say that you don't need to do like any kind of marketing or networking, because those things are required too. But like making the thing is the most important part. And it's the thing that people struggle with, right? Like that's one of the things I'm going to probably struggle with, and I want to push through and get to the other side of, is that it's something, the number is staggering. It's something like 90% of podcasts end before their 20th episode. Because upkeep's that's like 90% of it is just showing up. And then like the content is like whatever. I mean, of course the content matters. But, I tell people, I think that the fact that we post a video every Sunday is more important than what the video is, if that makes sense. So I tell this to everybody. I say, just like figure out what it is you're doing in terms of production and produce it to the best of your ability and keep doing it. And, I'm not the best person to ask about marketing, because 90% of podcasts end with two stone guys saying, let's do a podcast and get famous. Yeah, that's true. Keeping a positive flow and not doubting your content. Yeah, those are really good things too. Yeah, believe in whatever it is you're trying to do. Don't get so worried about like what other people are thinking, because especially now more than ever, you can afford to exist in your own lane. It wasn't like this even when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you wanted to be like put on, or you wanted to be like famous, if you were a musician, you had to be on the radio. Like that's it. And if you were an actor, you had to be on TV or in a film. And the amount of hoops that, the amount of things that have to fall into place, and the hoops that you have to jump through, and the sacrifices that have to be made to get there, to even get there. And then, maybe your movie comes out and it bombs, and maybe like you were the best part of the movie, but nobody gives a shit because it was a bad movie. It's not like that anymore. Everybody's on social media. You have like immediate access to like all of these creators. So it's a completely different world. Brave new horizons. That's what we're looking at, gang. That's what we're looking at with all this AI stuff. I don't know why people are bugging so hard about AI art. I think it's fear. I think that they're afraid. But they shouldn't be. It's just a new medium. Sheesh. But yeah, do what you're doing, and the people that love what you're doing will find you. I've found that to be the case. I just keep making stuff. And, recently I've been kind of like a little popping, a little hot on YouTube or TikTok rather. Like, nothing humongous, but, nice numbers for me. And I'm seeing a lot of people who have never even heard of me, and they're like, holy crap. And they found that because I'm still making content. If I would have stopped after my first album, that person would have never found me. So I would say just keep producing stuff. Believe in it. And AR is going to make people kick up the game and stop being lazy. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it's going to be... first of all, it doesn't work in the way that I think a lot of these people are complaining about it works. Like, people think that it like scours the internet for images, and that's just like not the case. At least from what I understand with my friend Bobby telling me, and I trust his opinion because he's been doing it way before it became like, a big deal, I guess. But yeah, I think it's going to be challenging because now that everybody can do it, 6 months ago, nobody was even talking about it. Now that everybody has access to it and can do it, now comes the first real hurdle of that art medium, which is to say that, like, okay, now everyone can do it. What about your prompts and what you're doing with the software is unique and different from what everyone else is doing? So yeah, I don't think that there's a problem with it. Dr. Augustus Montgomery. Hello. My name is Augustus Montgomery. That's one of the more fun characters I've ever played. Good old Dr. Montgomery. And I was thinking too, there was that I was RPing 2 players at the same time in that campaign when Augustus and Verena were together and they fought upon their first meeting. So that was fun. But yeah, I think that answers the question. Stick true to your content, believe in your content, and keep making your content. And it definitely helps to, I was saying that it's like being on a treadmill with a very slight incline. So you can't really like notice your progress until you look back. That's the thing that's weird about it. Never in my career, however, have I ever felt like, oh, I've made it. And I don't think that anybody really does. Like I just got done watching the Shaq documentary, which is just a masterpiece. If anybody has HBO and hasn't seen it, so good. And the thing about Shaq is, like, when you look at that guy, he was in the league for 19 years, I think, maybe 18, something like that. Too long for how big he was, but he was just so talented. And like, you could argue that he's had a more successful career post basketball. When you talk about like all the endorsements and stuff he does, and like the way that he did that is that when he was playing ball and getting out of the league and stuff, he would just do like the equivalent of rappers doing like their first feature for free. He would just be like, oh, well, look, I'll do your spot. You don't have to pay me, but I just want to have a relationship with your company. And that's kind of what you have to do with other creators. That's certainly what we did. Like, a lot of our little boosts along the way have been from other creators in the space, either working with us on something with like a collaboration, or just as something as simple as like a page share or a video share or a shout out. Like, that makes all the difference. Cranberry Partridge. Yeah. I have someone to soundboard ideas off of, because sometimes what sounds good in one head's sounds dumb in the open air. Oh no. Did I say something that's dumb? Well, I hope I didn't say anything that was offensive. What forest animal helps the druid get that nice green color on their robe? A dire wolf. You get it? Fell into Bard Advice stream, was not aware of it until just now. Oh, well, welcome, Kim. Yeah, this is This is what we're doing. Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern, or at least we're trying to. Geez, I don't think I've had any hiccups since we've started again, folks. So that's good. I'm gonna have to behind the scenes cut this together, and it's gonna be annoying because this is gonna exist on a playlist where none of the other ones are. Because that was another question. In case anybody doesn't know, to find these VODs, the playbacks of these episodes, it's on the live section of the channel. It can be confusing because when you go to the channel, at least it was for me, and I'm making the damn show. Like when you go to the channel, if you go to videos, it doesn't show up there. Now it's confusing because this one will. Episode 6 will. It lives by itself. Oh no. Have we turned off? Oh, no, I guess not. Shaq Fu, I know. I'd forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about Shaq Fu. And they made it. They didn't speak on it at all in the documentary, but they did show a clip of him playing it. And I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about Shaq Fu. That was really funny. Yeah, I know. I had to say something. I think I have a problem with technology anyway. Have I mentioned that? Like when I was a kid, like my radio would turn on in the middle of the night and stuff. Like I don't get along well with technology. Maybe it's because I'm like an old soul or something. Shaq Fu or the Charles Barkley video game. Well, I'm gonna probably that because I didn't even know that there was a Charles Barkley video game. The 90s superhero with the steel. Yeah, his name was Steel. No, dude. If you're ever speaking on Shaq in cinema, it's Kazam and that's it. There's no other movies, dude. Kazam was like peak, just like get your bags, dude. Get paid. Technology is nice when it's working as intended. That's true. I do enjoy technology when it's working. So, I think we got through it, y'all. I think we managed to push through. What tool helps a wizard with writing the correct runes into their spell book? Spell check. Yep. Bo Jackson. Oh, dude. Yeah, Bo Jackson. That guy was a monster athlete. Arguably the most talented athlete ever. Because, like, I saw something that showed, like, his football stats versus his baseball stats in a particular year. And it was just like, what is even happening? Like he was top tier in both sports when it came to stats. And it's like, how is he doing this all at the same time? What would be your best class, multi-class for an 8-man battle royale? Something with a monk, maybe? I mean, rogue barbarian. But I mean, maybe rogue monk. I mean, I'm not restricted specifically to a time limit, but I have worked this into my schedule to really only last an hour. We are a couple of minutes over, even with the screw up. But the good news is that I think that the problem was my FPS. And now that I've changed that, I think it's going to be much better moving forward. So please remember to send questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. Send them. Send them over. I know some of y'all got questions and you're not asking. I know some of y'all are shies. Some of y'all are bashfuls and you've got questions, but you're not asking them. But you know what? Look, if you want me to call you like R2D2 or something, you can just tell me in the email if you don't want to use your real name. I try to just use first names. I haven't gotten any real pushback from that, so I hope that's okay with people. Most people seem to be pretty chill with it. That's just a note too for anybody. If you don't want to go by your government name or your first name or whatever, like, and you just want to have like a handle or something, that's cool. Just let me know in the email. But I know that some of y'all out there have questions and you haven't asked, so send them over. bardadvice@gmail.com. And now that this seems to have been fixed, at least for the most part, once I clip the front end of it back on, maybe it's just all together. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that this was a result of the mistake. So you got answers more than questions, which would lead to questions. Well, hey, there you go. Send over some answers. And we'll treat it like Jeopardy. I'll do my best to provide questions. So thank you all for joining again. And hopefully we won't have any issues next week. We'll be back here next week. Same Bard time, same Bard channel. Send questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. And next week will be Christmas Eve that will be on here. So